Yes, yes. Come on in.
Yo, good people. Welcome to the HerbMan Show.
Yes, 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 yes. Come on in, you guys. Welcome to the HerbMan Show. I'm your homie HerbMan. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We thank you guys for continuing to support the movement. We're liberating ourselves through education. We are trying to make sure that we are healthy enough to go out and get this wealth that we are so desiring to get. All right. So go tell somebody to go tell somebody your homie Herb Man is on. Today we're going to be talking about remedies for colon cancer and how we can reverse colon cancer, how we can deal with it, how we can help ourselves out. You guys know that the African American community is being hit in disproportionate numbers. When we're talking about colon cancer, we're 20% more likely to contract colon cancer, and we're 40% more likely to die. Now, a lot of factors will factor into those numbers. A lot of it has to do with the lack of education on the foods that we're eating. A lot of it has to do with, just our lack of healthcare access, the differences in our insurances when we do have insurances, what kind of, checkups and what kind of things that we have that come alongside of us having our insurances. And so there's a lot of different factors. I want to get into a lot of that as we go forward. So the reasons for the differences in, like I said, in the colon cancer numbers, they're all complex. They have a lot to do with just access to healthcare. And remember, you guys, there's more money into keeping you sick than really curing you. Okay, so we got to always remember that. So when we're dealing with these disproportionate numbers, especially in the African American community, we got to understand that, we got to look at how the scales are tipped in so many different institutions. When we're talking about the financial institutions, your lawmaking institutions, when we're talking about your healthcare institutions, all of these things are really not in our favor. And so when we start to, really trying to make money, we're gonna have to watch out for these disproportionate, things that are going on. When we're talking about being healthy, we're gonna have to be very cunning about wanting to be healthy because there's so much of a defense against us living longer, living better lives, living stronger lives. And so you got to understand that we're in this human race, this competition for resources, and we have to make sure that we encapsulate our resources in order to ensure that we have them for the long run. Right now, we're asking another person for pretty much everything based on our survival. And that's the most dangerous place to be in. And it's the most vulnerable place to be in. And when we're talking about health, it is definitely the most critical that we need to think about. So, a lot of this, again, like I said, the African American community is disproportionately burdened by just cancer in general. We know in breast cancer, a lot of our women are dying more than our white counterparts or our Hispanic counterparts. We understand in colon cancer that is to be the case. We also understand that even in prostate cancer, we are starting to die off a lot more from prostate cancer. Now, here's the thing about a lot of these cancers. They are avoidable. Okay. Not only are they avoidable from a preventative medicine standpoint, you guys, they are also curable. Okay. We can deal with these things. We just got to know how. Okay. So now we understand that they often experience greater, African Americans, we experience greater obstacles, especially when we're talking about cancer prevention, detection, treatment, and all of those things, to survival. Again, those numbers are skewed all the way up and down those things just based on racial disparities. And it goes beyond the obvious connection to cancer. Okay. Again, a lot of just how the social economic structure is, a lot of that stuff is already against us. So when we start talking about colon cancer, we got to really understand, what is this talking about? It's talking about undigested food that is still being held inside of the colon. The colon is one of the largest organs in the intestines, right? It's the largest part of the intestine. So if you have undigested food in your colon from years ago, right? If you have, if your body can't break down the food like it's supposed to, then it probably would, push this off into areas, into spaces, because it can't break it down. It can't flush it through. And this goes back to some of the videos I made before when we're talking about unidentified food objects, when we're talking about the endocrine disruptors, and just when we're talking about processed foods in general. Our bodies do not know these things. They don't know how to break them down because they can't recognize them as real foods. Our bodies is very intelligent. Okay, it knows what is real food, what is indigenous to the land of the living. Okay, it knows that this thing was living before, if it was dead. Okay, it can detect whether this thing is beneficial or not. And a lot of what's going on in our bodies is that we're putting foreign objects in it, and our bodies don't recognize it, and so it don't break it down. And so, what that being said is, it gets stored into different compartments, i.e., our colon, okay, our fat tissues and fat cells, which is why we're also topping the charts in obesity when it comes to African American community, and especially in our women. Okay, so we have to watch out for these things because, again, we're in an environment where I don't think that we're really understanding the effects of not really having an indigenous diet. Okay, for you, specifically for your biochemical makeup, specifically for your bio makeup, for you to understand what you need to eat. And I keep referencing these things. If you go back into my videos, we talk a lot about the grains of Africa, right? The super grains of Africa, because those were real food. And those foods, those grains had enough fiber in them, i.e., another video that I've made talking to you about what is the most important thing is fiber, and especially to the African American community. What does fiber do? Real simple. Fiber cleans out your digestive system and your arterial system, right? So now we're talking about heart attacks, clogged arteries, all this stuff that we get from our soul food diets, right? And then we're talking about processed foods that we get from the American diet, right? And you got these two diets that are just eating the body up of the African American. Okay, it's just deteriorating the body of the African American, and it's doing things into those bodies that the African American community has not yet wrapped its head around what is actually going on. And it's because of the diets that we are eating. Okay, so we fully understand that it is the diet, but we don't really know how to change it or what to do. So one big thing about, if you're going to be eating these types of foods, processed and soul food, then you're going to have to make sure that you are eating food that will clean out the arterial walls of your circulation system, right? I.e., so you don't get a heart attack, get a stroke, or anything like that. And you want to make sure that you're eating food that will clean out your digestive tract. There is one food that can do both of those things to keep you away from high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and all of these different heart diseases and all of these different gastrointestinal disorders. And though that one thing is fiber. Okay, fiber, you guys. That's the one thing that we are missing, that we really need to make sure we eat enough beans and enough greens to make sure that we are cleaning out our system. So the description of colon cancer is, obviously, it is a disease of the colon. It is also a malignant tumor of the colon, and it begins in the inner lining of the large intestine. Okay, and like I said to you before, the colon is the largest part of the large intestine, okay? And it passes from the cecum to the rectum, and it absorbs water from the undigested food, okay? So that's going to be a big caveat of what colon cancer does. It absorbs the water from your undigested food, and it stores the waste material until it passes out of the body. When there is an uncontrolled growth of cells in the colon, it is known as colon cancer, okay? The mass of the colon cancer cells form what we call malignant tumors. And these colon cancer cells invade and damage the other healthy cells and the other healthy tissues, all right, that is around the colon. Cancerous cells move into the blood. They cause damage to other parts of the body. So when you have a situation with colon cancer, for most people who are dealing with colorectal cancer or anything like that, you tend to start finding that they have liver issues as well. Why? Because these things are getting into the blood, and the liver is trying to process the blood and it has all these toxins in it. All right. And it has all of this waste material in your blood. So not only you're having waste material in your blood from the cells are actually wasting in your system as well. All right. Then you are eating foods that have not been undigested. So you have that as waste as well. And then all of that waste there is seeping toxins. Okay. You just think about something rotting in your body. It's rotting because you haven't dispelled it. So this thing is rotting in your colon, and then it begins to secrete these juices that literally go in your blood system. Why? Because there are little pinholes in the lining of your large intestine. This is what we call leaky gut. Okay, and so you have this leaky gut, and those things are seeping into your blood. Now, bioaccumulation of those toxins in your blood will begin to start causing what? Metastasis. Okay, or they begin to start messing with the liver. Like we were saying, that's why it's very important that when you're dealing with large intestine, colon issues, that we also need to detoxify the liver so that we can cleanse that. And we also maybe even need to start working on the spleen as well, because that's your blood bank. Okay. And just making sure that we don't have our whole body spreading these toxins everywhere. And that's how cancer can begin to start spreading. Now, what are some of the causes of colon cancer? And these are just a few of them, but we know there's a lot of different, causes for them, from hereditary, family history, all that type of stuff. But alcohol can cause colon cancer just from the acidity. All right. Smoking can cause it. Obesity, obviously, that's what we're talking about. Obesity is the gateway drug to disease. Okay. Old age, just from just utilizing the colon over time. Hey, it can cause, just for you growing older, utilizing your colon, eating, stacking up all that undigested food in the colon, over time, it could just cause you to have colorectal cancer. Okay. Again, we're talking about the acidic metabolism, and you'll see and you'll find out that acidic metabolism is kind of the underlinings of a lot of different issues that we're having. It means that our metabolism is too acidic. We're eating too much food that cause too much mucus forming stuff, or either too much acid doses in our body. All right. So remember that word, acidosis. It also can be caused by frequent constipation. If you just having constipation after constipation after constipation, your body just keep on constipating. Again, we just told you about how it takes the water from the undigested food. So if your food don't have any water in it, then it gets real hard and real clayey and real doughy, and that's going to be hard for you to push that out of your body. It's going to be hard for you to push that out of your body. Again, you can have bowel disease, irritable bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. All of these different bowel issues can factor into you having colon cancer. Again, we talk about hereditary, family history. You can have cancer of the reproductive organs, and then that can spread into your colon. And then we're talking about the diet, a diet of heavy fats, heavy cholesterol, heavy meats, and heavy proteins. All right. So if you're out there eating a whole bunch of meat, and a whole bunch of fats with them, I'm talking about not just only in your meats, but also we're talking about these oils, you guys. Oils have fats in them. Okay. When you break that oil down, it is fat. And if you're doing a high fat, high cholesterol, high meat, high protein diet, you may be prone to colon cancer. Why? Because we're talking about the breaking down of the food. And if you're not treating this stuff properly, colon cancer can cause and will cause death. Now, the biggest thing to preventing these things, just quite simply, is going to be making sure your body is alkalized. You have to make sure your body is alkalized, you guys. I can't say enough about alkalizing your body. Again, remember, one of those things, one of the ways you can do this is about acidic metabolism, or acidosis. All right. And a lot of our foods, especially the processed versions, a lot of those processed foods break down into our bodies in acid forms. Okay. In acid forms. So you want to make sure that you are alkalizing your body. Well, HerbMan, how do we alkalize our body? You alkalize your body with a heavy doses of good pure water, okay, and heavy doses of fruits and vegetables. that are organic and indigenous to the area you are located. Okay, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables that are organic and are indigenous to the area that you are in. And it's not very hard to find fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. You just may have to drive a little further out of your community. You may have to spend a little bit more money, but to find them is not hard. Maybe to purchase them, maybe to accumulate them, that may be the difficult, but to find these things is not hard. And so what I'm just trying to say is that if we can find them, we can grow them. Seeds are cheaper than the actual fresh fruits and the vegetables. So if you can't find the fruits and the vegetables, go to Pike Nurseries or go to Home Depot, go somewhere where they got the seeds, and start growing them, man, in your own backyard. That's why it is important to understand what is indigenous to your locale so that you know that it grows in that area. Now, again, so now we're talking about, just some of those things. Now, colon cancer is the second deadliest cancer in the country, you guys. Okay. It is the second deadliest cancer in the country. Now, this cancer to me is brought on by the foods that we eat. Okay. Again, there are some other factors that go into that. But if you're having low access to healthy and affordable foods, then that's going to play a part. So it's not just a food thing, but again, it's socioeconomic. What do you have in your community that will help you with these things? Again, fiber. So we're talking about beans and greens, and adding those into your diet will flush a lot of the stuff that we're eating out of our bodies. Again, low quality education and housing, unsafe environments that we are in, it will cause us. And this disease is, again, it's ravaging the Black community. And it is important as ever that we start understanding what we need to do to circumvent the colon cancer, reverse the colon cancer, or just simply stay away from anything that will cause this colon, these issues. Again, and these are going to be the types of foods that we started to understand. And so we go back to what our original indigenous foods, grains. Okay. Grains are going to be very good at helping you digest. Sorry about that. Grains are going to be very good, you guys, as far as helping us alleviate these foods from our colon and from our arterial walls. And I'm not going to say that too many more times because I want you guys to really understand that. We are fighting against a big conglomerate. Now, we can talk about wealth, but if you can't get into a healthy state of thinking, a healthy state of understanding, a healthy state of preparing and planning what you're going to do to maintain your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health, then how dare us have the audacity to believe that there is wealth in the horizon when we haven't even captured the things that are necessary to really visualize that wealth in the way that we should? Because right now we're visualizing wealth in a skewed manner. Okay. And we don't have the energy, the fortitude, or we don't have the durability that is needed to run the race that we're facing with to create this generational wealth. So we need to re-educate ourselves on ourselves as far as our biochemical makeup, as far as us being African American in America, as far as what foods that African Americans particularly need to eat to maintain their health, what African Americans particularly need to educate themselves on to maintain their mental health, what African Americans particularly need to understand financially in order to maintain their financial health. We have to understand these things, and we got to be re-educated in order to do it. See, even during the coronavirus pandemic, necessary screenings for these things are still necessary. We're focusing on coronavirus while most of us are still dying from things that were taking us out way before the pandemic happened. We're still being, handicapped by asthmatic issues in our children, by pre-diabetic and diabetic issues that are coming up in our community. Now we're having this influx of thyroid issues going on in our community. All right. These are all due to the high stress levels the processed foods, and the bad eating habits of the African American community, but it's because they're under so much stress. So when you're under so much stress, you're choosing the bad choices and the wrong choices. And it's also because you lack control over the resources that you need. So you're constantly asking other people for help and for access to this and for that. And again, we are not understanding the competitiveness that is involved in the human race. And so there are sometimes that a people can oppress another one by not allowing those people have access to a particular resource. So let's paint this picture. If you live by the water and we lived in the desert and we needed to come there to get some water and you denied us access to that water, then that's critical to the survival of my whole people that's standing here in this desert. So what's going to happen is a war going to break out. You see what I'm saying? A war going to break out and fight over that water. But we have not come to the point of fighting, so we're asking permission. Hey, can we get some of your water? Can we get some of your water? Can we get some of your water? And then as soon as these people say, well, we're going to tax you for the water, we're going to charge you for the water, or we're going to, or we feel as though you guys are contaminating our water, we're going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble. And so that's why, my channel, we're trying to retool, re-educate. We're trying to transform our mental understanding of our health in general and why it needs to be the focal point so that we can continue to be the strongest human beings on planet Earth. Okay? The strongest human beings on planet Earth is what we're trying to do. So you have to know the causes of colon cancer, and you got to know the symptoms, okay? And some of the symptoms that you could be looking for when you're dealing with colorectal cancer is if there's a change in your bowel habits. Again, if you was going regular and then you start getting constipated, or if you went from constipation to diarrhea on a daily basis, you may want to start looking at what's going on. A great thing is to look at your stool. I know we look at the tissue, but we're supposed to look at the tissue for color and for consistency, right? To see what it's supposed to do. A healthy bowel or healthy poop will float in the water. It don't sink to the bottom. It will float in the water if it's a healthy poop. These things you need to start looking at. If you feel that you need to have a bowel movement that's not relieved by having one, then you may start looking at stuff like that. Meaning you feel like you got a boo-boo all the time, but when you go up there, you don't do nothing. You want to start looking at your colon if that is happening on a regular basis. If you're finding rectal bleeding, okay, that is something you want to go and get checked out and make sure you're okay. You got blood in your stool. That's another one. Cramping or pain in the abdomen, in your belly, you want to go. If you're feeling tired and weak all the time, if you're losing weight without even trying to lose weight, then these are some of the things you want to go and get checked out. Okay, you have to get your screenings in these things because they're so hidden. By the time the microscope finds cancer is already at stage 3 or 4 because we can't see it when it's at 1 and 2. So by the time they physically can see cancer in your body from a microscope, you're already at 3 or 4 stage. You know what I mean? And so then there's a rush on trying to chemotherapy, everything in your body to try to salvage what little life possible that you can. But again, you're talking to your homie HerbMan. So there's always going to be herbs, you guys, that God has given us to make sure that we can help ourselves when dealing with these things. Now, the 3 of the most identified herbs when dealing with colon cancer is going to be soursop. Okay, soursop is going to be marijuana. I know you guys ain't never heard of that before, but marijuana, okay, is going to be another one that's very good for colon cancer. And then it's going to be garlic. I know you guys have heard of that, and ginseng, okay. I'll just put a 4th one in there also. Zucchini can kind of help out as well. The peel of the zucchini, okay, the skin of the zucchini can help out. Of course, we know garlic will kill any vampire. And so you want to look at cancer and viruses like they are vampires in the body, right? And so garlic is always going to be that great asset that we could use for the vampires. Right? So you always want to put garlic in there when you're dealing with vampiric type of cell activity within the body. Okay, and vampiric type of action, that's a new word that I'm using, but that word that I'm saying is when you have cells in your body that like to take over another cell, inject and secrete its juices in it, break that cell down, and then build up its own virus. Just keep replicating itself through all of this stuff. Basically, when it gets into your neck and then turns you into a vampire, those are the types of cells that you want garlic to be on hand and be on deck for. Okay. Now, those are your 3 or 4 different types of herbs that you guys could do your research in to help out if you're dealing with colon cancer. But I'm going to give you a particular remedy that you guys could use for colorectal cancer. All right. Now, you can use this in equal parts. We have a lot of these herbs on loveherbman.com. You guys are welcome to go over there, look at them, do your research on them, get them if you need be. And these are going to not only help you with the preventative method, but we're also going to be able to help you treat, all right, and reverse what you're dealing with when we're talking about colon cancer. But I want to make sure you guys remember that fiber has to be one of the main ingredients in anything that you do moving forward when dealing with colon cancer, from a preventive standpoint and from a reversing of colon cancer standpoint. All right, so the colorectal remedy, equal parts. You're going to use red clover, gotu kola, and violet leaves. Okay, and we have all 3 of those on our website. And you're going to take about 2 to 3 teaspoons to a cup of boiling water, infuse it for about 15 minutes, and take it as freely as you possibly can tolerate it. Okay, now those 3 herbs are going to be very good at, again, trying to control the spreading of the cancer cells, also being good for the blood, okay, with that red clover in there. All right. And then you got violet leaves and you got gotu kola. Those things are really going to work on the cells and the membrane and stuff like that. If you're having leaky gut issues, okay, leaky gut issues, you want to be looking at herbs like marshmallow, okay, a little licorice, a little slippery elm. Okay. If you're having inflammation in the gut, whether you're having abdominal pains and things of that nature, you want to be looking at things like turmeric for your inflammation, meadow sweet. Okay. Again, we have those herbs on our site. You guys just need to understand that there is a way around everything, and there's a way to get through all things. Okay. And colorectal cancer, breast cancer, any other cancer is no different than anything here on earth. We can get around those things. Remember that the humans are the greatest creation on earth. So not even cancer or a germ is more intrinsic and more complex than the human body. So we are designed to do anything and to beat anything. And we just have to do it naturally. So my advice or my suggestion would be for anybody dealing with colorectal cancer, colon cancer, or feel that they're headed that way, is first of all, again, you're going to have to fast and detox, you guys. You're going to have to fast and detox, okay? Clear your system out, then put the things in it that are very beneficial to you, okay? Keeping your colon clean is going to be just as easy as fiber, okay? Just as easy as that. Fiber. Keep your colon clean. Do not eat a whole lot of food on top of a whole lot of food. Make sure you're cleaning out your colon pretty much before each meal, okay? If you haven't cleaned out your colon before each meal, then eat something that will make you go to the restroom. And a lot of us know the foods that we can eat to make us go to the restroom, whether that be raisins, whether that be prunes, whether that be oatmeal, whether that be, this or that, or drinking some milk or something like that. Anything that will engage, boom, and allow you to go to the bathroom, you want to be able to do that. Now, the caveat to that is you don't want to depend on things making you go to the bathroom. Obviously, that would make your body be out of balance. So you just want something to initiate it, but you don't want to depend on that thing to be able to go to the bathroom. You want to be able to go to the bathroom naturally. all right, without, running to the bathroom, and without, not going for a whole week. You want to be able to get that easy medium. Many foods as you eat during the day, or many meals as you eat, that's the amount of time you're supposed to poop. So if you ate breakfast, you need to poop before you eat lunch. So by the time lunchtime comes, if you haven't pooped and you're at work, go eat something that will make you go poop. And then go have your lunch. When you get home, if you haven't pooped before dinner, you may not even need to eat anything. But if not, if you want to go eat something, then you need to go poop. Then you can have your dinner. And that will stop the undigested food. It will not stop the breaking down of the foods, because if you're eating processed food, your body can't break those down or assimilate those anyway. So you're still going to build a little bit of issues there. So you definitely got to change the diet. Let's not be crazy here. You definitely got to change the diet. You definitely got to get away from the processed foods and the high fats and the high meats and proteins. And you definitely got to get back into some beans and some greens and some mushrooms and some onions and all of these different things, some seeds and some berries. You need all of that, right? And remember, you need fresh fruits and fresh vegetables that can give you the fiber that you need, as well as beans. Okay, those are going to be your three things for you to keep your body flushed. All right. But to start off, you may need a fast or you may need a detox. Okay. But hey, we can beat everything that we're dealing with. We can beat everything that we're dealing with. So I didn't want to make this video long for you guys. Hopefully you guys understand. If there are any questions, any concerns, you guys know how to get at me at all times. I'm always here for you, always will be here for you. Again, my name is HerbMan. I am your resident herbalist. I love you guys, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Go tell somebody to go tell somebody. And until next time, love HerbMan. Yes, sir.
Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the HerbMan Show.